All right, so this is a 2015 Ranger Crew 900. Um, somebody had asked on online if how easy it was to do the wheel bearings, and I told them that it was super easy. It is. It's not difficult at all. However, I didn't think about making a video whenever I was taking everything apart. So I decided to make a video putting everything back together, and maybe that'll help you guys out a little bit. If you're trying to figure it out, it's really not hard at all. This right here is your bearing carrier. Like I said, I've already pushed the old bearings out, put the new bearings in. Basically, you've got a snap ring right here. Once you take everything apart and take your bearing carrier off, you'll want to take that snap ring out and then put it on your press. Make sure to keep everything straight. You don't want to try to press anything out crooked, and you don't want to try to press anything in crooked. It'll come out the same way the same direction as the snap ring. Whichever side the snap ring is on, that's the side that you want to push it out from. It will not come out of the back because it has the lip right here. It has these indentations right here, and somebody one time told me that those indentations are there so that you can try to drive it out with a punch if you don't have a press. I personally would not suggest that. You might run a small chance on these steel bearing carriers of scarring up the inside. Definitely don't want to do that, but I know on the back of the Ranger, these are aluminum. They're not steel, they're aluminum, and you will definitely mess them up if you're not super, super careful trying to drive this thing out with a punch. My suggestion would be to use a press. I don't know, if you can find one somewhere to use. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put this thing back together, and maybe it'll help you guys out a little bit. So we want to start with the bottom. I started by cleaning everything up. I've already got everything clean. You definitely want to clean your axle and splines really well, and then liberally apply grease. I also put grease on the both of the ball joints, clean them up really good, put grease back on them, and some grease on the tie rod end, and then of course grease my joints while I was up under here. You've got 3 grease fittings. One for your upper control arm and 2 on your lower control arm. You don't necessarily have to put grease on there. I just kind of feel like putting a little bit of grease is a heck of a lot easier than having to worry about something being seized up later. Right here on your bearing carrier, these pieces right here spread apart, and when you put your bolt in there, it's going to squeeze it back together, which is what's going to hold it on your U-joint. What you can do, and be very careful, is you can use a screwdriver, like a fatter flathead, and put it down in this crack right here, tap on it with a hammer. Don't want to go too hard or too far, because it will break this stuff off if you go too far. But you want to just knock it down in there a little bit. It'll spread these out and make it a whole lot easier to get on. So these things are specific to each side and where they go. So what I did, and what you can do whenever you take them off, if you'll see right there, I just scratched into them. That this is right front, and did the same for the right rear, left front. That way, in the mix of trying to get everything taken apart, if you had to do like I did and take them all off and go to where it presses at, you won't get everything mixed up, and it'll be easy to go right back where they are. You can't really put one in the wrong place because it's not going to go there. Your tie rod end is not going to line up. It'll be backwards. So anyway, we'll get started. Start with the bottom. Go ahead and pick it up, slide it on there, put our bolt in. And it's a 15 millimeter socket and wrench. I'm gonna tighten that up. And as we bring it up, we want to go ahead and get our axle in there. And get it in the top. Next thing is going to be our tie rod end. It's got a different bolt, so you make sure you want to keep up with it. It's got a hole in it for a cotter pin. Same thing, 15 and 15. Back it off just a little bit so it can still turn. All right. And we'll get our cotter pin. Use a wrench to hold it and bend the cotter pin out. All right, now we're going to put our hub on. It's the hub. Whenever you're taking it apart, this part right here should just slide right out once you take the castle nut off. If it does not slide right out, like I had one that on the rear that didn't want to just slide right out, I did have to press it out, and I could see where when the wheel bearing went bad, it obviously heated up and kind of seized it to it. So I had to just take some emery cloth, clean it up real good. I had to actually press it out with the press and then take some emery cloth and just clean it up real good. But it should you know, come out, and you want to clean them up anyway. You don't want to put, you know, dirty stuff back in there. You want to clean the inside out real good and put some grease in there. Then it should just slide back on. Line your splines up. There we go. Just like that. Give it some little taps just to make sure it's on good. Everything should be good like that. Now, it's should have 2 washers on the end of it. Make sure you keep up with those. They'll go right in here in the end. When you take it apart, be careful that they don't fall off. You know, just pay attention to them. You don't want to lose them. And then you've got a castle nut. So screw that castle nut on. Then I've got an 1 1/8, or I'm sorry, 1 1/16, just because I didn't have the metric nut for it, or the metric socket that big. I'm going to run it in just to make sure that everything is seated. And then back it back off. And then I'm going to torque it to 80 foot-pounds. All right, so I got my torque wrench. We're going to torque it down to 80 foot-pounds. Obviously, on the front, it's going to try to turn on you. So, best thing that I know, I mean, and there may be other people that, you know, have a better idea. Just take a screwdriver, like a long screwdriver, a pry bar, something like that. And put it right in here. And you really kind of want to stay off of the rotor, because you don't want to bend your rotor, but you want to go right up under it. And then put your torque wrench on and hold it. 80 foot-pounds really isn't that much. But I put my leg on it like that and just push down. There's your 80 foot-pounds. Now, I want to get my cotter pin. And I just went and got all brand new ones instead of trying to fight the other ones to get them back in. Right down in the hole like so. You can turn it around where you can get to it. And then 9 times out of 10, these longer ones, you can just bend with your fingers. Or some pliers. Just like that. And that's going to keep that nut from backing off. Alright. So that's the hub reassembled. The next thing that we're going to do is we got to put our caliper back on. The caliper is just held on with 2 bolts. They go in right here and right here. Basically, I've just left it sitting right up there, up top. Excuse all the mud. Just spread your brakes, spread your pads apart a little bit. I guess you could press them back in. I don't have my tool with me to do that, so we're just gonna do it like that. Just don't want to tear stuff up. So you put your top bolt in. The bottom bolt, and then 15 millimeter. And that's it. That's how you change wheel bearings on the front anyways. We'll move to the back and I'll post another video. Appreciate it, guys.